for what's coming down the road with all of that. But yeah, it is already September 25th, 2024. It is kind of that time of the year where, of course, we head into that Q4 range that wraps up the year. And it's a time where a lot of companies say, well, seasonal business, ooh, I'm scared of the winter. I think I'm going to hold off till next spring before I do anything. And the answer is, yeah, that's kind of everybody's mindset. 99% of the people in our industry tend to slow down in the fall time, which simply opens up a market gap for those that actually want to take advantage of that and search certain niches that can really make you significant dollars in the off season. And one of those that we've been speaking about quite often is the whole pothole repair using infrared and being able to actually go out and do emergency pothole repair. And it's an area that we keep drumming a beat on. Mark, what's happening? Good to see you, buddy. It's a drum beat that we keep beating year over year over year. As someone who's been in the industry for going on, it's hard to believe, 45, going on 26 years in the industry. Asphalt Kingdom started 21 years ago. I can tell you that one of the most painful things for me was going through those winter months and not having that cash flow for my family to be able to keep the oxygen going. The envelopes would deplete quite quickly. Life's not any, we'll just say it's not less costly to live today than it was 25 years ago. I think we can all agree that you go to the supermarket, things are a little bit different today than where they were 25 years ago, right? You go buy a ribeye today, your ribeye prices are a little bit more than what they used to be. Every bite is significantly more. So you better chew it well, taste it all. But my point is that I don't think that we need to be in a spot where we have to have the oxygen depleted from our business, which is the cash. And I don't think that we need to go through a period where we have a slump of, this profit and loss statement that looks like it's kind of dropped into a roller coaster swoop that sits down in the bottom zero-ish numbers for 4 or 5 months. There's no need for that. We have clients that are going out and making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a day, and I'm not stretching that, going out and doing that by just doing pothole repair. And so that's something that definitely is an area that you don't want to just lose focus of. It is a underserved niche that people are not taking advantage of. And for those that actually do take advantage of it, it's a gold mine. It really is. 2 tons of hot asphalt runs you roughly about under $150. That's for sure. A couple $100 we'll just say top by the time you get to the asphalt plant, get loaded up and so on. You're a couple $100 on 2 tons in your hot box. And when that 2 tons goes into your hot box, we've had discussion after discussion on these roundtables. People are going out and making $5 grand off 2 tons. So it gives you an idea, right? And so the question really comes down to this: are we going to do this as a niche opportunity in an underserved market? So first off, raise your hand if you believe that potholes are everywhere. Honestly. Yeah, so commercial plazas, parking lots, grocery stores, supermarkets, medical facilities, you name it, potholes are everywhere. And that's because asphalt ages, it cracks, and water gets into the foundation, it erodes the foundation. Asphalt can't bear its own weight, it collapses, and you end up with a pothole. A pothole is not just like a cavity in your teeth that's on rapid deterioration of the pavement asset, but it's a liability risk first and foremost. It's a tripping hazard. And so that's what you're selling, is first and foremost a tripping hazard, right? And it's something, Alex and I did a course, a grinding course, a pro grinding course that was literally speaking about getting rid of tripping hazards. And it's an easy sell if you're selling it based upon, hey, listen, you have tenants and customers that are literally walking around in your parking lot, and there are these tripping hazards that are there right now, and I'm exposing those to you right now, and you should really take advantage of getting this repaired. And so will people be more likely to repair a significant pain point on their pavement assets? Is it an easier sell than seal coating? Think about that, right? Like, is it an easier sell than most is getting rid of those liability risks, right? And so, when you have some line striping and it's not ADA compliant, Is that an easier sell than just telling somebody they've got some faded lines? So you want to kind of think about these things as you're going down the path of building your business. You know, I spoke about a profit and loss statement. Well, when your profit and loss statement has that roller coaster, for those who knows what a P&L is, by the way, profit and loss statement, anybody know what that is? It's basically your numbers telling you your financial performance of your business, right? You have cash flow reports, balance sheets, and a P&L statement. But like, you know, for those of you in the winter that see your business kind of swoop down from a revenue standpoint, that's really scary for anybody that might be an investor or buyer of your business. And you have to start justifying why you don't have any income during that period. And then you're just like, hey, I'm just like all the other asphalt maintenance companies out there. And then the buyer's like, yeah, but shouldn't I be buying a company that's differentiating from the average? Shouldn't I be a business that operates much different from the average? And so my mission on these roundtables is to get this open dialogue going so that we can all start to just go beyond what might be average. And so if you think about Google ads and Facebook ads and the way that you hunt potholes in the wintertime, that's something that you may want to consider as being a solution. What if you were the only emergency pothole repair company and marketed yourself that way using Google ad sets for geographical areas that you're willing to travel to, and you had some Facebook ads spinning? Like, what if you were the only company that did that? What if you were the only company that had outbound calls and you were dialing with an appointment setter that was literally asking property owners if they had potholes, and you just had somebody dialing 60 calls a day or 80 calls a day asking if they have any potholes, would they like those potholes quoted and repaired? And you go out and you book those on your schedule and you go become a pothole hunting company that's going out to make this money, right? So I'm just throwing this stuff on the table. Is this making sense? What I'm saying? I think it does. Yeah. Cool opportunity. Anybody have questions on this stuff? James, go for it, man. Come off mute. Click that mute button. Yeah.
All right, I got you. So as far as the potholes are concerned, like, is that something you want to like offer? Like, if you are presenting a job to someone and you see those potholes are there, and like say like someone like during the colder months, like, well maybe next summer, but I see you got 3 or 4 potholes. Is that something like you want to present then?
Yeah, like to me, a pothole is like, imagine showing up at a dentist and a dentist tells you you've got a cavity in your tooth right now. It might not be causing you pain, but I'm telling you right now, that cavity is about to rot your tooth out and you're going to need this thing extracted and you're going to need a new crown put on there or an implant if you don't take care of this right away. It's the property owner has the choice to repair the cavity before it's going to get worse. And there's nothing worse than having a trip and fall case like Fairmont did, Fairmont Hotels or Kroger's, which you can Google, trip and falls. There's trip and falls everywhere. I mean, Alex Coring, Coach Alex on here will tell you that, you know, the stories on sidewalk trip and falls and things like that. I mean, they're everywhere. And I want you to picture this for a second, right? Like, actually picture a lady walking in her mid-70s, trips and falls and breaks her jaw on the ground, and you had the opportunity before that ever happened to actually sell that to someone to take care of it. I mean, you could literally go to a commercial plaza that you know had 10 or 15 potholes, and you could video record people driving through those potholes and walking right by them, and you could find out who's responsible for those pavement assets, connect on LinkedIn, drop those to the person in LinkedIn, send them a text message with the videos once you get it from the store manager inside of that particular commercial plaza. And if you want to know who the property management company is, you can walk into any one of those stores at the commercial plazas and ask to speak with a manager to find out who deals with trip and fall cases on that parking lot. What's the name of the property management company? Can you get that number? And most of the time they'll hand you a business card and say, here's the company that deals with our property. And then at that point, you're going to dial, you're going to connect on LinkedIn, connect from all different omni channels, and then you're going to sell them the pothole repair. The cool thing is that when you take care of the potholes and the liability, you make great margin on that. But now that opens a doorway to a vault of being able to build a relationship because you've solved the cavity. Are you more likely to go back to the dentist to get the teeth whitening and the treatments and care for your teeth once they've done a heck of a good job taking care of that cavity repair?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So make money, highly profitable, high margin stuff that opens up gateways of opportunities, right? And I'm not talking, you can go to a residential driveway and you could go and repair some potholes for a couple $100, $300, $400, $500, whatever it is. The challenge is it's a residential driveway that doesn't have a 25 to 50 or 60,000 square foot lot. That might be an account that has also 15 properties attached to it, like a Bojangles or Piggly Wigglies or whatever it is, right? So that's where I'm going with this, is how do we hunt those accounts by solving their pain points so that we can build lifetime value out of those accounts that they keep coming back for more. And Alex, by the way, is growing the heck out of his business from literally a 6-figure business into a multiple 7-figure business that has taken this kind of an account-based selling large property strategy. So Alex, I'd love you to chime in, man. This is Coach Alex, by the way, right here.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, we started with one line item when company got started like 28 years ago. For 20 years, it was just troop hazard grinding, which was a steady state of revenue. And it grew, I'd say, like after I took over the company 8 years ago, we grew at about 300% in terms of the trip hazard work. It's something that is a constant request from everybody. I don't care what property we work on. They're always concerned about liability, safety, bank inspections, insurance, getting funding, Section 8 housing, government inspections, things like that. So we work a lot on apartment complexes. We don't do a ton of commercial, but we do have commercial property management companies like Ethan Conrad. They have properties everywhere, and they send us requests all the time, like, hey, we can't open this door, the concrete's lifted, here's a transition between the asphalt and the concrete in the parking lot, people are tripping on it. And usually, unfortunately, I'd say we get calls after the fact. There's a lawsuit in place and they have to do something about it immediately. It's not a question of whether or not they have the funds or the budget for it. We just got a call for a city sidewalk out in front of an apartment. It's all paving stones. They have like $100,000 lawsuit. It's on a main city street. And this project to go fix their sidewalks is going to be, at least in the 6-figure range. But you could imagine that organization having a $100,000 lawsuit on repeat. Right? They're like, okay, we already got one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. Now, just the lawsuits alone is going to cost more than fixing what's wrong with the property. So from a cost benefit analysis perspective, all these properties they're always going to get on top of any kind of liability in their parking lots and their sidewalks. Because pretty much every single time they lose these fights. Or we'll just settle out of court. There's for a while there was a racket going on where a lawyer would send in somebody disabled to a property because they knew there was an ADA violation on the property. The ADA person would say they were discriminated against, or the disabled person, and then they would file a lawsuit against the property, and they would just go settle out of court. It's going to cost like 15 grand in legal fees just to fight it, and they would just settle out of court, and they would just go from business to business. And everybody in California had to go and just make a lot of upgrades to their properties, especially when it comes to the path of travel from the public parking. So where you have the ADA parking has to have a fully compliant path of travel up to the front door of the business. So we do a lot of upgrades like that, but as a company starting in the sort of the 6-figure range with just doing trip hazard grinding, we've just added services year over year to grow and scale our business. And it works both ways. Like if you're a line striping company and you're looking to make revenue in the winter, why not go and do something like trip hazard grinding that you can get done when it's cold, kind of wet out, whatever it does. I mean, as long as there's not snow on the ground, you're pretty good. But that's going to give you a reason to get back on that property every 6 months, every year on repeat, and establish that relationship so that when they're paving, seal coating, line striping their parking lots, you're there to catch those bigger projects. That's kind of our strategy.
And while Alex was speaking right there about that, did you guys see the screen share that I showed as well? Did you see that? I mean, this stuff is real, right? This is serious stuff. And when you think of a law firm that is representing someone who had a trip and fall, what do you think that they're going to try to prove in that case in order to win the case?
Negligence,
Mark?
right?
Negligence. Yeah. Mark, were you going to say negligence? Yeah. And so, you know, when they think about that, right, it's when is the last inspection that was done on that property, right? When was the last inspection that was done? What are the security cameras showing from 24 hours prior to? I posted a link, by the way, to our pro grinding course. I'll just do that plug right now while we're on it. But that pro grinding course, Alex and I cover a lot of stuff, and Alex goes through the intricacies of these pieces and also the way to provide property owners with some oxygen to be aware and to have something from a professional company that has identified the liabilities and to show that it's being worked on, so that in the case there was a trip and fall, they have something to defend themselves with versus sweet nothing at all. And, you know, when you think of an $18 million fall, you know, that might be out of the usual price tag, but we're seeing very, very common, anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 is what we're seeing, right? And so they're usually settled outside, as Alex said. But really what you want to try to prevent is from happening at all. If you guys are marketing and selling and you're sharpening your spear and becoming really great at selling it, then you can start to, again, solve the pain points so that you can become their pavement management solutions provider. You see, this is the whole thing, right? Is that you don't need to go sell someone everything, right? Identify their problems, their pain points, and then sell them the vacation relating to what it is that they are needing, and then open up the opportunity to scale the relationship. Everybody on side with that?
Yeah, I think one of the best things about getting permission to go walk somebody's property is that you can go find a whole bunch of things that need to be done. You know, it might not be inside your scope of work, but even if, say, you know, you could go out and get a grinder for $4,000, you could make $2,500 a day in profit. Okay, in 2 days you've already paid for your machine. That's great. But you're walking around, and if you don't want to get into removing and replacing concrete, there's plenty of other contractors out there that you know, it could be a $20,000 or $30,000 concrete job. Go get 10 points on it. You know, don't even step foot on the property with any workers or anything. Just go get three to $5,000, something like that, for a referral, and have somebody on your team that you can refer to. Just like a lot of seal coaters and line stripers, you know, if you're not out hunting for alligator cracks that need to be repaved, R&R, milled and paved, and turning those over to somebody else that can do the work, it's a big miss. You know, if we don't have the equipment ourselves to do it, somebody does, and you just need to have permission to go walk that property and provide a quote on it. Pretty basic stuff. You know, when you're getting out there and you're getting the permission and to go ahead, yeah, go walk our property for all premises liabilities. Cool. I'm gonna go find some money. It's just sitting on the ground. Go pick it up.
Any questions on this stuff or any open dialogue that you'd like to speak about relating to this? Anyone?
So, question. So, in the event, like if like you said, during your winter months, your slow down months, right?
Yeah.
Like he was just saying, would it be best to go and ask, like, the property managers, like, what are your liability issues that you would have? Would that be something you want to present them to, like right off the bat, or would that be something like you want to present to them, like, when you're trying to, I guess, walk the property?
I mean, personally, the way that I like to sell is I like to, if I'm walking the property and doing a pavement assessment first, that pavement assessment is identifying the pain points on that parking lot. I will have already spoken with this person responsible for the pavement assets and saying, I'll do a free pavement assessment for you, I'd like to kind of give you this medical report, which we have literally developed inside AK Dash, so you can do a professional pavement assessment just by filling in blanks. But I would do a pavement assessment, which is like that medical report or a report card for the parking lot. And then what you want to do is when you're actually providing that person with the pavement assessment, you start executing on the closer framework that we generally practice from a sales framework perspective, which is the C stages clarify why the customer's there, like clarify the main discovery aspects of what needs to get discovered here, right? And so why do we do that? We ask open-ended questions so that we can start identifying the problems, so that we can label somebody with the problems that they're having. And if they are confirming that indeed they already identify these potholes and that they're actually confirming that these are liability risks and they know that that's scary for them, then I would definitely overview their past pain, which is the O part of the closer framework, right? So we've got clarify, label, overview. And then once I've overviewed it and I'm kind of working in that pain, I'm going to then sell them a vacation. I'm going to talk to them about us being the solutions provider and that we actually are a pavement management solutions provider that can take care of this, you know, and make sure that these liability risks that you've identified are painful for you. We're going to take care of this and make sure you don't have those liability risks anymore. And then in the E part of the closer framework, I would start explaining away their concerns as the E, which is really helping them to, you know, ask me questions or overcome any objections that they might have. And then I would go into the R portion of it, which is reinforcing their decision that they've made a great decision to take care of the potholes or the tripping hazards or whatever it is that was painful in the beginning stages. So that's generally how I do it, is pavement assessment, and then go into really moving into the closer framework and going on that sales journey. Does that answer your question, James?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think, you know, when asking about doing a safety inspection for somebody's property, the question is pretty simple. You know, we provide free assessments of your property's liabilities to make sure that we can keep your property safe, long lasting, and looking great. Can I schedule that inspection for you? And if the answer is no, it's a free inspection. So for free, you don't want to know if there's any liabilities or trip hazards on your property. And then it just sounds kind of silly. Like,
right.
yeah, no, don't tell me for free if somebody could trip and fall on my property. Like,
that means they don't really care.
Maybe they're the wrong person, right?
Right,
yeah.
right. So yeah, I get that. If
you're
not
talking to
concerned with a trip
somebody,
hazard, you know, then
yeah. Hey, let me know if there's any liabilities on your, on your property. I mean, I'll give you an estimate, or just a like a doctor's report, or what do you call it, Judd?
Yeah, report card. Yeah, doctor report, medical
report
report.
card on your property. And then
if I'm willing to give you a free playbook to not get sued,
yes,
you don't take it.
There's not too many people that say no, but like
Right.
when we do the inspection, we actually give them a certificate of inspection.
Okay.
And on it says, it's got pre-canned words or whatever, and it populates in from the client contact in our CRM. But so we don't have to like manually create one of these every time. It just generates it inside our bids.
Now is that something
it says like
before?
we understand that we have liabilities on the property, and we are budgeting to make sure that we make these corrections to keep our property safe for our tenants, residents, and guests. And that helps them out in a court of law. If somebody tries to say, hey, you're negligent, they say, well, no, we've got an inspection, and here it says right here we're budgeting for the repairs. So it's kind of I wouldn't say it's a get out of jail free card for properties, but at least it shows that they're not negligent. They're actually inspecting their property when it was last inspected, and that they've agreed that they're going to do something towards taking corrective action. So.
I'm going to share something with you guys. I don't believe it's public. YouTube has so many ads all over it. It's crazy. Let's see here. Let me just go back to it. Bear with me. I don't know if you guys are going to see this, but if you do, just give me a thumbs up. Let me put this in the chat here for you guys. If I can find the chat. There we go. Give me a thumbs up if you can see this 5-part sales strategy video from building a prospect list right to achieving your revenue goals. All right, cool. You may want to save that or bookmark it. It's pretty short. It's not very long. It's 7 minutes and 49 seconds, but this process right here is being used by companies that are doing multiple 8 figures that we work with. So just to be clear, 6-figure, 7-figure, and the big 8 figures use this process. I'll tell you the biggest challenge that the majority of people have when they're building a business, and it's, you know, small business startup. The biggest challenge is that we're hunting the fastest cash that we can to get the oxygen in, because cash is like oxygen, right? So we hunt, I need to get this job, I need to get this job, even though on our one-page strategic plans or your annual planning or whatever it is, even though we know, even in AK Dash, when you set your revenue roadmaps and your targets, even when you know that your average job size needs to be $15,000 and you need to close 100 of those jobs this year, it's 1.5 million, right? Right, everybody? Yes, 1.5 million. All right, cool. 100 of those jobs at $15,000 is 1.5 million. Even though we know we have to get 400 quotes out, now hear me, 400 quotes converting at 25% is 100 jobs. But our average job quote that we put out has to be $15,000 so that we're winning an average job of $15,000. Even though we do that, what happens is your day gets started and your weeks get started and you get a call for that $1,500 job. And you go out and you do the $1,500 job with yourself and maybe a couple other people. And all of a sudden you've got a day that you've put in to make $1,500, but you are off target already by doing that job. I'm not saying not to do the $1,500 job. I'm just saying you're going to have to swing it the other way and close some $60,000 jobs. Your targets and what you set for your business needs to have a clear yellow brick road of what it is you need to be doing, not from the work perspective, but what you need to quote at an average job price at this conversion rate in order to equal this win so that you can hit your revenue goals and your GP targets as well. That's the biggest challenge that a lot of us have, is we just go out and we work to get busy and we just want to make $500-600 a day. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying you will get stuck in growing and scaling your business with that for too long of a period. Straight up, just being 100% straight on it, right? So you have to really make sure that when you're watching this video of the 5-step close, don't do it outside of what you're doing. If your mindset's in that spot right now, I need to get, I need to get my food on my table, I need to achieve this $500 to $1,000 a day or whatever it is, just push that aside for 1 minute and just let your mind expand to think about, well, if we were literally hunting $85,000 jobs, we would need 12 and a half of those jobs a year to hit $1 million, correct? 12 and a half $85,000 jobs is $1 million, which means that at 12 and a half jobs that we win, if we wanted to actually win the 12 and a half jobs, we would have to put out 50 of those proposals, because 12 and a half is 25% of the 50 proposals. The question is, are we sharp enough to go sell the $85,000 jobs and subcontract paving companies to go out and do the work, or subcontract a company like Alex that's going to go out and do the work? Alex subs out all his paving work. The question is, are we willing to invest into truly understanding these key points rather than being alone and stuck trying to figure it all out on your own? That's really the bottom line. And that's really why we do these roundtables, everyone. It's why we do the roundup events. It's why we have coaching. It's like legitimately, this is why we do it, is to just help to expand that peripheral vision, to explore what could be possible. I know, Erica, you went through coaching, of course, and you came to roundup events and so on. Can you share a little bit about what's going on with your business at
Yeah,
Fine
I
Line?
mean, you summed it up quite nicely with the oxygen analogy, because that's where it is. It's like, oh, I got to get jobs in, I got to get this done so I can make payroll and do all the things I need to do. But it definitely it's kept me in a chokehold with my growth strategy because I haven't been able to focus on doing the estimates and getting the higher quality, more money jobs booked because I'm so focused on I can do this minimum dispatch job and get cash in the bank right away. And it's so easy to get in that trap. So it's time for another session because
I would say something here is and I get stuck in this as well. I think we all do, is that, when we get call-ins, we get call-ins from like residential, somebody that owns a house and they've got a single trip hazard in front of their house, or they've got a small little driveway issue or something like that. If you get stuck chasing down and doing work, uh, estimating, writing quotes, all that stuff for stuff that people want you to do for them versus hunting the jobs that you want to do for your company. They're two very different things. You can feel very, very busy chasing down all the tiny requests. And you're gonna be like, I'm just so busy. You won't have time to chase down the bigger projects that are sexier, they pay better with higher margins. It doesn't take any more work to close a $50,000 deal than it does a $5,000 deal. In fact, the $5,000 deal is probably going to be more headaches than some of the bigger projects. If you're calling on the right people, you just, if you go through a portfolio manager or a facilities manager for a big franchise and they just are sending you to like one place after another to do repairs on all the different properties, they're looking for someone trustworthy that provides great bids, that's clear and concise with relaying back the information of what work needs to be done on their property. You give a good price, great customer service. I kind of consider us more of a concierge company with the way that we do proposals and the amount of detail and information we give somebody. They absolutely know what they're getting for their money, and there's value in that. But if you're busy chasing around all the phone calls for, $500 deals, $1,000 deals, $2,000 deals, you're never going to bring in the $50,000 deals. There's just not enough time in the day. You gotta ditch some of that stuff and go hunt what you want.
And there's going to be a pain period. You couldn't have said it better, Alex. Like there's going to be a pain period for that, right? If you have your sales team do a gear shift and only do that, there's going to be pain. There's going to be pain. You're going to have a period of bridge where, if you look at your conversion cycle and let's say it's 30 days on some of the, 5, 10, 15,000, if some of those conversion cycles are 30, and then you start getting into the 6-figure numbers and we start seeing that the conversion cycle can be 60 to 90 days, sometimes even longer, there's a period that's scary. And I understand how scary that is. So you don't necessarily have to do a hard shift into that gear. You can stay between gears, like gradually move into that gear and release the clutch. But there should be a shift of attention to actually driving the front end of your pipeline to be able to get those quotes into the hands of the right people and then actively do your follow-ups. And something, Erica, that I'll just share my screen on here. I'm going to show you an example of, just hold on here, in AK Dash. When I go to, like, let's just look here. So set goals and targets. So I'm going to choose like $1 million company here. Okay. And this is the roadmap. I've preloaded all of these. So if you want to do 2 million, it'll change all the numbers in here. And Dylan is happy to go through all these numbers with you guys if you're interested in learning more about that. But Dylan, you're on here. You can drop your link on there so people can book time with you if needed. And then on the left side here, you'll see that once I've set that target for the million over here, I'm actually going over here to the left under main navigation, clicking targets. And what this does is sets up the revenue roadmap for the target. And then these are the actuals, like actual bid submissions that you're sending out and so on. It will automatically populate all this stuff against what your yellow brick road targets are. So you're going to see that these are jobs between $0 and $2,500, right? And you're going to notice that there's a big problem with what's going on this sheet. Can anyone identify the problem that this company would have in achieving the $1 million? Remember that this is the target over here in the gray, right? So we have $1,250 job average, 30 bids that we're setting to go out and hunt. We want to win 30% of them. We're going to win 9 of them. Gross profit of 60% in this price range. We're going to generate 11.3 thousand, which is 9 times your 1,250. And your gross profit of 60% is, of course, 6,750 of the 11.3. This is what we're targeting, our assumptive. We're going to go hunt this. What's the challenge over here? What they've actually done? Where's all their attention and time going?
Bidding.
Now, right? And over here, what we realize is that between the $20,000 and $40,000 number and the 10 to 20,000, that's where the majority of the money is that we need to be hunting. That's where they're going to make the most money, right? They're going to walk away with $367,000 if they hunt this. I'm not saying, like, look, they put out 49 bids instead of 30 bids, and they're making some money, but it's not the right kind of money in order to get them to $1 million. And that's what happens with a lot of residential asphalt maintenance companies, is that they go out and they say, I'm going to be $1 million company. And they start saying, well, you know, my average job size is $500. Well, how many jobs does someone need to do at $500 in order to hit the million? What's the math on that, team? Anybody know what that math is?
Yeah, a lot.
Possible?
I said 2,000.
2,000.
It's definitely a lot.
Jobs, 2,000 jobs. And then I'm like, okay, well, here, there's one of two things that we need to do in the scenario that you want to stay in residential and just do that. Because they're like, no, I can't give up residential. That's putting food on my table. And I'm like, well, you could keep doing that, but you're going to only put that much food on your table. You're going to have a hard time getting a new truck and go on vacations and move into a nice house and enjoy the time at a higher level when you're making a lot of money doing something different than that plan. And I'm not saying that that plan is wrong. I'm just saying, what if there was a better plan? What if you actually believed enough with the utmost conviction and your sales skills were sharp and you knew how to actually work the system to do that? Then you might just with some minor time be able to shift that mindset. And Erica, to go back to the coaching, I'll tell you, Amy just came to me, and you know Amy, Erica, she's our CEO. She just came, I'll be transparent with you guys. She just came to me literally last week and said, Judd, we need to put $45,000 into coaching this year again.
It's ongoing for sure.
I'm legitimately, I was scared when she asked for that money because we're needing oxygen as well. And she's like, I need $45,000, and she's going to watch this recording. And Amy, I love you. But legitimately, it's like $45,000 for coaching, 4 meetings a year, 4 meetings a year. I'm like, I don't know that we can do that. And then I say to myself, I look in the mirror afterwards and I'm like, I don't know that I can't do that.
Correct.
If I want to get to where I want to go, and I know that those people who are coaching me are already where I want to go, why would I not be investing into a bunch of people that are helping me to get there? And so we did it, and I'll do it. I'll keep doing it. And I'm glad that she pushed me to do that. But what I would say is this, it's easy. It's real easy to just get off stance a little bit, and all of a sudden your shot is off.
Mhm.
But when you have somebody that's there with you and helping you and guiding you in the after hours and being a part of that to make sure that those throws are smooth and swishing in that net, that to me is the magic of relationships and exchanging value to get better, right? It's an exchange of value and opportunity. So Erica, I think it would be, you know, if you guys need some adjustments on your sales or keel, like that's always available to you. We love you guys. We know that, you know, we understand that it's hard to be coached, but it's so much easier when you are. Yeah.
It is. So Judd, I had a theory.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to bring it into fruition, but here's my thought. Like I drew this whole organizational chart, right? And so in this chart, I saw, because you know, it's, as we discussed earlier, it's hard to let go of that daily grind. We consider our bread and butter, our oxygen. I call it bread and butter. You call it oxygen. I like oxygen because that's what I feel. um, so what if simultaneously you have two things going on, or maybe even three things going on, but two things. So you have that oxygen thing going on, but at the same time, you're developing a segment that focuses on the larger, the more profitable. Like, is it possible to do it simultaneously?
Yeah. 100%. Really what it comes down to is like the mission for me with any client that we are working with, whether you're already in the business or whether you're starting out from scratch, what I really need to understand is where do you want to be in 18 months from now? Like legitimately, and you've been to the roundup events, like where are we going here? Like what's the real plan? Like, do we want to be doing, because I know you're doing multiple things. But like, what do we really want to do? And then what I would do is make sure that we're setting up the plan that we believe in together, and then we create the drumbeat of executing that plan to understand that this plan is what we both believe in. We're going into it. We understand that these are the critical drivers that need to get done, which is the number of phone calls that need to be made, the number of in-person meetings, the number of quotes at this average value, and it needs to get reported, like for your team that's going out to do the estimating, like they need to be held accountable. You need an end of day report, an EOD report that's actually giving you the understanding of the drumbeat that's taking place by your team because you're orchestrating the music. So bottom line is the plan with critical drivers and a KPI, and that together will give you the yellow brick road in order to achieve the success that I think can absolutely be done in addition to your existing business, because we would not develop a plan that would not work in conjunction with that. You know, not some people who here wants a $5 million company, honestly, like, and like some people, it's okay to not. I'm just saying, like, we would all love to have lots of money realistically, but the reality of it is, like, would we be good with, you know, $300,000 or $400,000 on the bottom line to take home every year in profit? If that was our business, would 300 or 400 grand be pretty nice for us? You know, 300 grand is a nice chunk of money, right? And so in order to take home that $300,000 realistically, when you're doing some sub work and so on and so forth, you've got to be around that $1 million. You know, you've got to be in around that range. I know Alex is saying, nodding his head, because you can take home probably more like $500,000 on that, right? On the $1 million. But the reality of it is, if you're subbing in paving work and you're doing that stuff to achieve the $1 million, where you don't need, because Erica, if you don't have the time to do a lot of the stuff that needs to get done, then maybe the subs are actually what we need to be working with. And we're taking a percentage either of top line on the referral, or you're actually subbing in with a performance partner. The bottom line is that I think that you can do anything that you truly believe in that you'd like to do, and a plan could be set up around that. And then you have to be held accountable for yourself and your team to make sure we're executing on that plan. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions? We're open book here, so please don't hesitate. We've got about 13 minutes left on this meeting. I've really enjoyed this meeting with you all. I hope you guys are enjoying taking away some golden nuggets as well. hopefully you can apply some stuff. If you can leave this meeting with one thing every week, it's good stuff. Nate, what's your story, man? Tell us everything, brother. I'm bringing you on the round table. Tell us everything. What's going on? What's happening?
You got to figure out how to run this thing first.
You got it.
You know, just kind of stumbled on your website about 4 or 5 days ago. I was telling Matthias that I work now, but I'm eligible for retirement here in a few months. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do afterwards. Erica's got company.
Yeah, that's Bo Parker. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
So yeah, I set up my first meeting today, talked to Matthias for about 20 minutes, and then we had to zip over here to the round table. And so I'm just kind of soaking it all in at this point. But yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I've been watching, I told Matthias I probably watched 6-7 hours worth of videos, Asphalt Kingdom videos in the last couple of days. So I'm just trying to soak it all in and really interested in it right now. I'm curious how many people in this group already have a business started.
Raise your hand.
Obviously,
Raise your hand
Alex.
if you own a business. Yeah.
Yeah. All
So
within
90% of the people that come to the round table already own a business.
So I'm pretty special to be invited.
That's awesome, man.
An outsider, right?
It's great. Yeah, and there's two things, Nate. Like, first off, I'm so sorry, man. You're going to see us everywhere. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere that you go, you're not going to get away from us because our advertising kicks ass. And we have such an incredible team at Asphalt Kingdom. I'm smiling as I say that. But really, really what we do is we try to give as much information as we possibly can to somebody that's making some important decisions in their life. And so serving you content that isn't just something that's persuasive, that's a bunch of actors or some get rich quick scheme. We really want to give you content that can be resourceful and helpful to you. And if you go to AK, like on Asphalt Kingdom at the top, you'll see the resource section. We just have tons of free stuff that are all in there as you're going through your decision as to who you're going to want to work with. If you decide to work in the industry. For those people that put on that operate with this kind of premier mindset of, I want to build a real business that's going to create remarkable experiences for individuals in an industry that generally has been underserved and kind of kicked around at lower levels, if you know what I mean. Kind of, it's the gum on the asphalt type of industry, the old mentality. And that's really what we're trying to change, is that we're not building a seal coating business or an asphalt repair or maintenance business. We're literally building a pavement asset management business committed to keeping pavement safe, long lasting, and looking great, whether you're self-performing on the work or having performance partners execute on that work. The process in which you sell and close deals is very, very much the same. It's just who's actually performing on the services. So, we welcome you, man. And what questions do you have right now? What would be like the number one question that you have for me or anyone on here?
I was telling Matthias, the sales aspect of it makes me a little bit nervous. Does it ever turn into, with the advertising, does it ever turn into, once you start doing jobs? And Alex, I appreciate what you said as far as like kind of the angle to use. And I like that. I wrote down that certificate of inspection is really a great idea. Does it ever turn into referrals and you don't have to hunt all the time, where all of a sudden it starts kind of coming in? Or is hunting kind of where it's at?
I'd say we make about 0% outbound calls. I'm trying to think it like I'm in the process of trying to hire a salesperson because like I talked about earlier, we're just trying to track some of these bigger projects. Everything is word of mouth, referrals, and being a part of partner networks. So we go, like in the very beginning, we cranked hard on property management companies, just reaching out to every property management company that was in the area and then getting on their approved vendor list. And so once you're on that vendor list, you could get a list of like 15, 20 properties. We just started making the calls, and then the regional managers, regional portfolio managers get to know you and you do some work for them. And then like our phones just don't stop ringing. But like when we first started doing, we were just concrete grinding and then we added concrete pouring services. I taught myself how to do that. My gardener came out with his dump trailer to do my first job. I just watched him do it. And then we started, slowly learning the jobs. They started going from like $5,000 jobs to 10,000. I remember my first $20,000 concrete job. I was like so excited. It was huge. I couldn't believe it. And then, now we're doing 80, 100, $150,000 concrete jobs. The size of the project, like as you get more experience and more confidence, just the size of the projects just start going up. I don't even chase or go and look at stuff unless it's, of a decent size anymore. Yeah, you have to know what your burn rate is every day. So like for me, it's about $2,000. If I don't make $2,000 in profit every day, I can't cover my overhead. So I know that like if I'm sending a crew out or dividing a crew up into 2 crews or whatever, however it is, I'm doing my scheduling, and I know that I need to make that much money a day. I would say that like you need to put in a ton of hard work in the beginning to build that client base. But yes, at a certain point, it will shift for you if you've done the right things and made the right contacts. Now, if you're going after like a one-off type deal and you're chasing the types of contacts that you're making is like, I close one deal and there's nothing else after that. There's like a homeowner. You go after a homeowner or a residential or maybe a municipal road or whatever it is that you're doing. It's just like that person that you're dealing with can't refer you to other people or does not have a portfolio under them. You're going to continually chase single deal transaction, one back and forth. But if you're going after the right people and you're setting your network up correctly, at a certain point, that's going to be a tipping point and an inflection, and you're going to get more requests than you can handle. And then you can be picky and choosy with what jobs that you want to go after.
That's huge, Alex. What you just shared there, bro, like that should be on a bumper sticker, legitimately. Like that whole last portion, the whole thing was full gold value, but like that last part right there, we see people constantly pumping out quotes. And then all of a sudden they're performing on the quotes because they're converting, and then their pipeline empties up and they realize that the quotes that they had been providing is kind of the one-off opportunities, right? It's the quick bang and go, and it's like a quick shot to the bank account and go. And it's like I had to correct myself. That sounded terrible before that. Sorry, guys. But it's like legitimately so important to build account-based opportunities that have multiple properties or big enough properties that you'll be getting called back for pavement management solution services. Did that answer your question, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely what Judd just said, like if you have a big enough client, there's going to be something to do on repeat. Like if you have a 200,000 square foot parking lot with a bunch of sidewalks and there's painting, there's potholing, there's patching,
striping, all of it, catch
oil
basins, all of it.
spots, striping. Yeah, just there's something to do. Like we started doing paving stones. I don't do paving stones, but my neighbor, we just moved our offices, but at my old office, my neighbor was a pavers guy. That job I was talking about earlier, the city sidewalk that's going to cost $100,000, where they had that lawsuit, it's pavers. I got called in on the job. I don't do pavers, but they want to work with me because I'm an approved vendor through their property management company to vet the paving guy, the guy that does the paver stones, is a huge process. They don't want to do that. They're like, hey, Alex, we'll just pay you the royalty and you can manage the project for us. We know you, we trust you, we know you're going to be a good project manager. And I'll make, 15, 20 points on that job. I'll make like 15 to 20 grand for 2 hours of my time going out and doing an estimate. And then, overseeing the project. Yes, it's going to be a few hours of work or whatever, but if you don't have contacts like that, you're not in the ready position.
That's the
to-
mental shift though, right? Like that part right there is the secret sauce. And I can see the mental shift taking place right now. This isn't about just being a seal coating company. It's so much more than that, right? And you take that mindset into pavement asset management company. Like your marketing, your website, your Facebook page, your LinkedIn profile, all of that, you're a pavement management solutions provider. You're not an asphalt seal coating business. And
Yeah.
you all of a sudden have built a company that can be multi-serviced offerings that you can essentially go out and take care of, right? You'll be the go-to guy. You'll be that lighthouse, right?
And so, Alex, you mentioned something about subcontracting, like you don't do paving, but you subcontract it out. How, and you're the middleman. I think that's what you said. How do you get to the point where you're doing business for them? I mean, what keeps them from just going to this, business and saying, "Hey, we'll do the paving. I don't need to pay Alex to be the middleman." How do you
Yeah.
negotiate?
That would suck for them. That would suck for them, man. They wouldn't get any more business from Alex.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, Judd.
Yeah, so like I have a paving license. We're gonna do 800. Well, so far we've done 693,000 in asphalt paving this year. The pavers is something a little different. I don't have a pavers license. But I've established a relationship with a gentleman who owns a paver and has been doing it since he was 14 years old or something. And he's a great guy, like a really good Christian guy. He's not out to screw me. And we share all the information together. So we've established relationships where I could say, okay, how much did all the materials cost and how much was the labor? And then we add up all the cost and then we take the profit and then we split it. So we just figure out what the profit on the job was and then we just split it. So, we're just fully transparent on both ends. He's like, yeah, here's my exact cost. I'm like, cool, here's exactly what I build. And then we split the difference. So,
Partner.
Yeah. So essentially you're drumming up the business for him. So he doesn't have to go out and do the pothole hunting. And then he does the paving.
Yeah. And so,
Okay.
I would say like if you could make the mistake in the beginning of going to 5 different paving companies, right? And then you could start shopping everybody and that's possible. You could just say you go out and get a contract for 80 grand or 100 grand for a paving job. You might make say 20 grand, like 20 points on that 100 grand job with one contractor, and the other guy's going to give you a different price at 16 or whatever. You shop it out. So, okay, this guy's 15, I'll make 16 with this guy, make 20 with this guy. But the more you do that, I think the higher the chance of somebody trying to stab you in the back will happen, right? Somebody's eventually going to say like, oh, that person contacted me directly. And you have to be upfront with whoever is your sub and say, look, if they ask you anything about this deal, like you work for me, not the, so I give them my shirts. The team is wearing my hats, my shirts. They're branded Sidewalk Safety when they go out and do my jobs. It to the customer, they don't know the difference. It just looks like me.
Thank you.
So, and just to add for everyone on here too, something that's really important is that as you start to go into that next phase of using performance partners to execute on projects that you don't have the equipment, knowledge, skill set, experienced staff to do, when you start going into that next stage of growth, it's really, really important that your mindset goes from being not just a pavement asset management business, but you also now are a marketing and sales company. That's first and foremost. You have to be a marketing and sales company, and you have to have that mentality in everything that you do in order to really build this thing to levels that companies have. And so an example would be, of a client that Alex coached that came down to California, Jason Morales. I've spent time with Jason as well. You know, he has 50 million in his pipeline. He started last August, right? From a quote perspective, he'll close out at about 4 million this year. He doesn't own a shovel, right? He's doing large paving projects now. If you go to M5 Paving on Instagram or on Facebook, you'll see what he's doing. But, you know, that's what he wanted to do is his business. But when it comes down to, if I was starting over, going back 25 years, if I would go back, what I would do is I would literally build a business that was out there to serve the pain points for these parking lots that would open up the doorways of opportunity to be able to become the pavement management solutions provider. I would be a dentist that only did the cavities, the fillings. And then I would get the teeth whitening and the people who did the crowns and the implants and all of that stuff. I would get them to perform on those larger things that I don't really want to do. I just want to go out and build the relationship, take care of the pain points, and then scale it. And that's what I would do if I was starting over. So when we think of things that we could be investing into as a company, whether we're starting out or already in it, potholes are one, crack repair is another, striping is another, right? You may not even decide to seal coat. However, seal coating is a nice fit and there's some great money to be made there as well as an add-on, but you've got to define and decide what it is that where you're going to allocate your time yourself, as well as the people that you're going to bring in to build your army. Are you building a team of people to execute on projects? Or are you building a team of salespeople to go out and close deals so that you can have a customer management system that has a subcontractor portal that you can have them log in and have the work booked and that they're updating the files with, right? And tomorrow, by the way, I'm dropping this link in here. For those of you that are on AK Dash, you guys have access to the 90-minute sales power stack tomorrow that I'm doing. And I'm excited to be doing that. For those of you that are not, it's $250 for the 90-minute sales power stack, and you get 5 months of AK Dash boss level included in that. Okay, so I'm stacking that with value as well. Matthias, you didn't know about that, nor did anyone else until I just said it. So the link is in the chat for those of you that want to attend it. And I'll be working through the reality of the 5-step close process. I'll be showing you under the hood of AK Dash and going inside, showing you how to do assessments, showing you how to do the proposal, and ultimately moving towards sharpening your sales skills. So you guys are welcome on there. Any final questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is my first round table. I'm guessing I'm the new guy here. However, I'm just starting a line striping business. Just so happens I've actually gotten a line to. I got a Wendy's franchise. I got 22 stores. Right. And I think I'm in a position to where I think I might have not necessarily bitten off more than I can chew, but I don't necessarily have my equipment that I would need to handle such deal. As far as Asphalt Kingdom, I know y'all have like tons of machines and that. Do y'all have any like refurbished machines that you sell at like a discounted price for someone who's just starting out or anything like that? I'm just asking.
Yeah, we don't have any used equipment at this time as it relates to striping. Our pricing on stripers, on Titan stripers, just to be transparent, are running at a 13% margin. And we're throwing in a bunch of freebies as well. We're the most competitively priced as it relates to that. We respect MAP pricing, but we are throwing in all kinds of additional stuff. And I understand where you are in your position just starting out. My recommendation is, as a first project, that sounds like did they come to you with an RFQ, or is this something that you actively hunted? Did they come and did you get this off of an online bidding platform, or how did that project come to you?
No, I actually it's kind of interesting. I worked for Wendy's when I first turned was able to work. I got my workers permit. That was the first job I ever had. Me and the owner actually had like a real tight relationship. He actually came to my high school football games, and to watch me play. So we kind of built that relationship while I was 16. It just so happened I got my own business, and I just happened to go to his office, and he was like, yeah, I actually need my parking lots done. And I saw it, and he was like, well, I'll tell you what, I have my secretary give you a list of my properties, give me a quote, and if it's, he said I can have them. So
If they're quoted right, James? If you get the price
right,
and he likes the price. And
right.
so raise your hand if you're in the business and you would take a deposit on a project like that to make sure that you've covered your ass. Raise your hand. If you're in the business, who would cover your butt and making sure that you've got a deposit once you close the deal? Everybody, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand, okay? Everyone, you're always going to make sure that you take a solid deposit on a project like that, because all of a sudden you start buying all your paint, you start getting all your stuff ready. Bo, I know you're sitting there nodding your head right now, man. You are not going to get everyone ready to go and then have the guys say 24 hours before there's no go on the project. There's no way. So James, my recommendation, from a prospecting perspective, it's always people first, people your people know, and then cold call. The people that you know are usually the ones that would be like cheering you on. And so if this guy was that guy that you're saying, which is the case, you are in a spot where, to me, you would be doing something that is absolutely not offside by making sure we're getting deposits on a fair project, and that you can now buy your machine to start your striping business, and we can start to grow your pavement management solutions business. Does that make sense? Does that make
It
sense?
does. Now, however, this he presented to me that they buy their own paint, and
Cool.
they're using the same Sherman-Williams that I use, that I went and got a contractor's account with.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing he's trying to undercut the paint price.
Well, you might have a deal, right? He might have a deal. I would find out with that objection. I would just find out, is there a particular reason? Is it the quality of the paint? Is it the price that he's already
Well,
secured from Sherwin-Williams that is probably a part of a corporate discount structure with Sherwin-Williams, a part of the Wendy's QSRs. So like, that's probably the case, but that's okay if he wants to buy the paint. I mean, that's totally fine. But he's not going to not pay for the labor and your machine
right,
that's going out to do this.
right. Okay, so it'd be my best interest to ask for a percentage of a down payment up
Yeah,
front in order to pay for my machine in order to get the jobs done.
I would do that. And, the other thing too is, you can buy a used machine online, go to a Facebook marketplace, or, go online. But frankly, I'll just be straight up with you. When you buy a used machine, you buy a used machine. And if this is something that, I know that certain things happen for really good reasons, and that businessman should understand exactly where you are and be transparent and try to close the deal. And frankly, if you get the contract for all of those places, I wouldn't just go in. Do you know how to stripe or no?
Yeah, I mean, I never personally striped,
Okay.
but as far as my research goes,
Yeah.
and for me to get into the business, I feel confident in myself to know that I can do it. Now, had I had a machine, there are plenty of vacant parking lots in North Carolina. That's where I'm from. That I could just probably go in and practice and stripe on, and
Right.
do the free.
You got to go practice before you just head out and stripe that one.
Right. I get that part. I get that part.
You could even load your machine up with water, go do it in your driveway. You know what I mean?
Yes, I've heard that too.
North Carolina,
Yeah.
Hold on one second here. Bo is trying to say something, and this is going to be fun. I promise you. Bo, come on here, buddy. What's up,
James,
bud?
what part of North Carolina are you in?
Fayetteville.
All right, I'm in Greensboro.
Okay, you 2 hours away.
That's right. So let's get together. I'll show you some of the different equipment I have, show you some of the maintenance tips and all that good stuff. Good opportunity right there.
I actually have a machine. I have a Graco S100 that was kind of thrown away by the school systems because it was the field market machine. But Fayetteville. I'm from Fayetteville. They've had this. They have a paint marking machine that is like robotic. It does it by itself, right? So that machine, they allocated it to all the high schools. So all the high schools use this one AI machine. They kind of threw away all their old paint line striping machines. So that's how I got the machine I got. However, I think something's wrong with the pump. I've done my own maintenance work on it through, YouTube and all that stuff like that, but I still can't get the pump to work.
James, can I give you some advice, man? Can I give you
Yeah.
and Bo some advice? I know Bo's smiling right now because just work together on getting this deal closed. He already knows how to close the deals. He'll work with you, James, on getting the deal done. You guys partner on the deal. You learn how to stripe. Him and his crew will come out, execute on those projects, and then grow from there, man.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend.
There's actually I think there's 3 locations of the Wendy's that are located in the Greensboro area that my guy owns. So if that's your area, then I would more likely would love to link up with you and we can talk and
Rock and
get
roll.
this thing together.
All right, James. I'm putting him my email address and my phone number.
Okay, that's too easy, man.
Check the chat. Check the chat out, James, and you'll see Bo's email as well at the bottom of his profile video there. Yeah. You'll see it. It says Bo Parker at finelinestriping.com. And man, do they do a fine line. Good to see you, Bo. Miss you, buddy.
Miss you too, guys.
All right, cool. We are over time here by about 15 minutes, but all well worth it. James, give me a thumbs up that you got his number and his email. You're good? You got that info? All set? Cool. Everyone, thank you so much. I hope that everyone walked away with some golden nuggets. Raise your hand if you did walk away with a nugget here tonight. Yeah? Good? All right, cool. I'm glad to hear that. You guys have a wonderful balance of your week. Make it special. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Same time, same place, right here on the AK Roundtable. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, Jeff.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Great job.
everybody.
See you guys.
Good job, Judd.
Thank you, Matthias.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, brother.
Always.
you.
Thanks, guys.